Is your CPG business taking off? You can easily check off the EDI capable box as you break into retail. SPS Commerce is your gateway to retail growth. With over 1 million existing trading connections and counting, you get instant access to the largest network of up-to-date, mapped EDI connections to retailers, distributors, 3PLs, brokers, and other supply chain partners without doing any of the heavy lifting yourself. With over 20 years of experience, SPS Commerce is the partner you can trust to get you up and running quickly and be there to scale with you as you grow. Plus, their team of experts is available 24/7 for support, ensuring you have everything you need. Visit spscommerce.com today to book a demo or learn more.
We started this brand to educate individuals and to educate people on how to live a better life, just overall. And so we're looking at the brand really more so as a vehicle in which to kind of tell that story. And it's, it kind of gives us that platform by which we can share the story. We definitely have really strong cultural Caribbean roots, and we really didn't see that represented too much in foods, and definitely not in plant-based foods. And so we really wanted to bring something really clean to the market that can actually reach the masses.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Startup CPG Podcast. This is Grace, and I am back with another founder feature. Today, I'm talking to Samantha, the founder of New Breed. New Breed is a brand dedicated to creating plant-based meats that celebrate diversity and empower underrepresented communities. Samantha has been plant-based for over 20 years and running New Breed for just over 5. In this conversation, we talk all about plant-based nutrition, New Breed's slow and steady growth, and their exciting launch into Erewhon this fall. It was such a pleasure to chat with Samantha, learn more about her brand and her family. I hope you enjoy this episode, and as always, let me know what you think. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Startup CPG Podcast. Today, I am here with another founder feature. I am so excited to be talking to Samantha, the founder of New Breed, a plant-based foods brand. So, Samantha, I'd love for you to introduce yourself and tell us who is New Breed.
Yeah, sure thing. Thank you so much for having me on this episode. My name is Samantha Edwards. I am the founder and CEO of New Breed, and we are a plant-based meat brand where we create an authentic line of nutritiously delicious plant-based meats for every meal of the day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So we really wanted to make plant-based eating really seamless and easy and exciting for everyone.
Yeah, I love it. And I've had the opportunity to try some of Samantha's New Breed products, and they are really delicious and don't have some of those ingredients that sometimes I'm a little bit put off by in other plant-based meats, where there's like weird fillers and things like that kind of, make me feel like, what's the point of eating plant-based if it also has these sort of gross ingredients in it? But I'd love to hear a little bit about the origin story of New Breed.
Yeah.
So why did you create this company, and what's your background leading up to creating New Breed?
Yeah, so I created this company just about 5 years ago, actually. So it was just pre-pandemic period. And really, it was as a result of kind of my experiences in nonprofit work. So I actually have been living a plant-based lifestyle for over 20 years. So it's definitely not a trend for me. But it was just really exciting to see how, it was becoming more and more mainstream in terms of people really being more conscious about what they were eating and how they were living and so on. So, whereas before, it was really niche and specialty, and, it was just like a small amount of people that were really interested in this space and just this lifestyle overall. So kind of when I started seeing that transition being made, just like a polar shift, throughout the world. It was just really exciting for me to see that. And I felt like I can bring something to the table that was different and that could really speak to my cultural background as well, from a Caribbean background. My parents are from Trinidad and Guyana, and my husband is Jamaican. And so we definitely have really strong cultural Caribbean roots, and we really didn't see that represented too much in foods, and definitely not in plant-based foods. And so we really wanted to bring something really clean to the market that can actually reach the masses. And so my mother actually developed stage 4 breast cancer about 15 years ago. And I was working with her and kind of sharing with her some principles that I was actually learning and embracing in my own life in terms of her lifestyle and just eating. Because, diet is just one thing, but we really take it from a more holistic approach, making sure that we're drinking enough water and we're, exercising and going out in the sun. So it's like a whole lifestyle type of program, which we advocate for. And so that's what we were teaching. That was part of our nonprofit work that we were teaching, because my husband and I became lifestyle educators. We got certified in that, and we were traveling really around the world, sharing different principles, giving lectures. I ended up writing a cookbook like 15 years ago called The Better Way. So I would do all these nutrition classes. I got certified in plant-based nutrition, so I would do cooking classes and different things like that. And so, we just fully immersed ourselves in this lifestyle and this idea that, our bodies were designed to heal. And, as long as we put the right things in it, we could really move the needle in the right direction. And so these are the things I was kind of sharing, with my mother and everyone, and really anyone, wherever we got invited to. And she started embracing a lot of the things in which we were sharing, and just really blessed to say that here we are 15 years later. She is cancer-free, super healthy.
Wow.
And is not on any medication of any kind. The cancer never came back. So she is just as healthy as can be. And like I said, it really speaks to the power of this lifestyle, or what it can really do to change lives.
Absolutely. That's amazing. And congratulations to your mom and to, all the work I'm sure she's put in to get to this point. That's so amazing.
Absolutely.
And so you were seeing all of these benefits from this lifestyle, from eating this way, living this way. When did you decide that you wanted to do more? You wanted to create this product, right? Not just be the educator, which I'm sure you're still doing in many ways. And from your website, it seems like you're still doing. But when did you decide you wanted to actually create this product?
Yeah, so I wanted to kind of do something more. And so I felt like, if we had a physical product, so of course, we have the book and we do these lectures, but, there's something to be said about just having something tangible and something practical for people to experience on a regular basis that really helps to make that transition. And so I think that was really the impetus behind us really pushing forward this brand. I mean, I didn't start out thinking, I'm going to do this brand, I'm going to make these products, because I was always doing nutrition and cooking classes and so on. I was always coming up with different recipes and just unique ways of using whole-based or whole foods. And so it was just natural for me to kind of just tinker around in the kitchen and just kind of come up with things and share. And so in the process of doing so, it just occurred to me that, there's so much more that could be done in the market that's not currently being done. And I think that was probably kind of that green light, that goes off, and it's like, oh, wow, maybe I could do something. I didn't know what it was going to end up being. I didn't know how to get there, but, I just figured that, with perseverance and diligence and lots of study and talking with those in industry, that we can kind of come up with something really unique and special. And so, just about 5 years ago, we were actually living in Northern California at the time. And so my husband was working on a campus, a university campus, doing a lot of community efforts and that type of work, helping people in their homes and just rallying the students and so on. And so I had a lot of that energy with the young people and having them sample all the different things that we were coming up with. So they got super excited about it. So it became this thing, and then it just kind of morphed into what it is currently, which is New Breed. And we actually have, just want to show just some of the things that we have. We have a Jamaican Jerk Chicken, which is super unique. There's nothing like it on the market, and something more appealing to those who are the home cook, lightly seasoned, so you can season as you want. So it kind of just became this thing that, hey, why don't we create something? What's the number one issue that people have? When we do our seminars, when we do our cooking classes, and when we share, the things that we're sharing, the number one challenge that everyone always says is, well, what am I going to do without meat? Or what am I going to do for meat? How can I not eat meat? And so that was always like the pain point, and so we really wanted to kind of hit that head on, because we were doing other things too. We were doing other products, but we just felt like that was like the area of greatest need, is what am I going to do about protein? What am I going to do about meat? And so we kind of wanted to address that.
Totally. And our culture, particularly in America, but elsewhere as well, is so obsessed with protein and meat and all of these things. And everyone's always so stressed. I was vegetarian for a while. I'm not anymore, but I remember the number one question everyone asked me when I was vegetarian was, well, where do you get your protein? How do you get your protein? And I was like, I get it. It's fine.
I get it.
But
right. Yeah,
like,
it's always, that's always the thing. I mean, it's always like the number one thing, literally. And so we were like, all right, we need to hit this head on. There's a protein issue, period. I think there's just a myth that has been cultivated for I don't know how long, that you need this massive amount of protein in your diet, which is not true in the least. I mean, you look at the animals that are herbivores and so on, elephants. I mean, there's no basis for 100 to 150 pound human feeling like they have to have 100 grams of protein throughout the day. I mean, it's just it's crazy.
Totally. And there's so much sort of miseducation and misinformation out in the market. But I wanted to return to something you were saying, which is your unique products themselves, and then a unique blend you use to create these plant-based meats. Because I know you use like pea, brown rice, and algae. Yeah. And so I wanted to hear a little bit more about how you made the decision to use the, sort of unique formulation that's in New Breed's meats, and sort of why you made those decisions to create it this way.
Yeah. So just kind of leaning off of the nutrition background that I have, I know that from the study of foods, just having an understanding of the chemical composition of foods and kind of the makeup of foods and the science of food, that there are certain combinations of food that work really well together, and that really helps in terms of digestibility of the protein. And so we find that when you combine let's say a carbohydrate, like a rice in particular, with like a legume, like pea, that's a good combination. Then you become a complete protein option, and as opposed to just a single source, unless it's from a source that is already a complete protein. Like, for example, quinoa is already a complete protein, and there's just very few grains that's just like a complete, or pseudo grains that's like considered like a complete protein. But by and large, you really have to combine two things together in order to have that complete protein. And a lot of people were really having a lot of gut issues, just with in general, but definitely with some of the plant-based meat products that were that's on the market. They feel like it's not digesting properly. It's just kind of sitting in their system. They don't really feel that great after they're eating it. And so we really wanted to ensure that our products, we actually have 6 SKUs. We also have burgers, grounds, and sausage and other things. We wanted to make sure that there's something called the PDCAAS score. It gets really technical and scientific, but essentially it's a protein digestibility score. And so it kind of tests for, how well is this protein going to digest in the body, because proteins are, the kidney plays a large part in the digestion of the proteins. But anyway, so if you have a PDCAAS score of 1, then you're on good footing. And so that means that the item is a complete protein. And so all of that science kind of came together in the formulation of the products. And so that's kind of why we chose the various protein options that we did choose, because they are synergistic and they complement each other in terms of digestibility. That's probably a really long answer for I hope it wasn't too confusing.
No, I love it. And it sounds like you have a little guest.
I do.
In the room with you.
Yeah.
This is life coming into play, founder life, founder and mom life. Right. And as we're interviewing this, as I'm interviewing you, you are also 9 months pregnant. Right. So just kudos to you. You're running a business, you're running a family. I mean, it's impressive. But I will say, returning to what you're saying about the digestibility of the protein, I think that's amazing that was such a priority, because again, I've tried some of these other products that are, quote unquote high in protein products that end up giving me not to TMI here on the podcast, but some digestion issues. No, totally. And it's interesting. And, it's hard when the messaging is like, well, get all this protein. And it's like, well, also fix your gut health and also fix that. And, I'm just confusing. I just want to eat something that makes me feel good.
No, I mean, if I were just like a regular consumer that really didn't have any kind of education about these foods, I mean, it is confusing. And there's so much information out there. It's just like, where do I go? And so, you're right.
And how do you, speaking of that though, like confusion, how do you work to get your message across to consumers about New Breed in a way that's digestible, both mentally and physically, and, entices them to then buy the product itself?
Yeah. So, it's really great when we have opportunities to get in front of the consumer face to face, whether it be at trade shows, whether it be at different events, consumer events, to really kind of tell that story firsthand. I mean, we try our best online, but you can only do so much digitally. It's always better. Everything is always better in person, of course. So we do quite a bit, and we still do quite a bit of in-person meetings. And so we really try to tag along, not just, we're not just simply just trying to push a product. So it's not about, use our products. It's really about education. We started this brand to educate individuals and educate people on how to live a better life, just overall. And so we're looking at the brand really more so as a vehicle in which to kind of tell that story. And it's, it kind of gives us that platform by which we can share the story. And so we always have different lifestyle meetings. So, for example, my husband might do a talk on, disarming diabetes and how could we, prevent diabetes or high blood pressure or, a lot of the lifestyle diseases that's really killing America. I mean, you have cancer, you have obesity. I mean, any number of things. I mean, the top 10 list. And so we really kind of address those scientifically and how they could work with their body just biologically to reverse a lot of those issues. And what's really great about the whole gamut of the program that we run is we also, as mentioned, we do live in the countryside of Eastern Kentucky. We're on just about 500 acres. And we also run a wellness program, a wellness retreat. And so people actually come from all over to our residential lifestyle program. And, they're here anywhere from, 1 week to 3 weeks, just doing a detox and a cleanse, and they're juicing and they're walking, and we're doing counseling with them because, again, it's physically, mentally, and spiritually. It's everything all in one. And so, we're addressing all of the whole person, because sometimes you can have issues that manifest itself in a physical sense, but it could be because our mental disposition is completely off. If we're full of anger and bitterness and so on, that's going to affect the liver. That's going to affect, how our food is digested, So there's so much connections between the mental and the physical and so on. And so we really try to help people to understand that. So when people come to our lifestyle program, they're kind of learning, all the things that they never knew about themselves and why they're having the issues that they're having. And it's really super transformative. We have so much video coverage of testimonials of people that have come and left with that. And of course, when they come, we show them how to cook and how to eat and how to shop, how to read the labels, it's just the whole thing. And they're just blown away with, all of this knowledge that they had no idea even existed. And it really helps them to come to a place where they can put things in perspective. And, all of the conflicting ideas that they may have come with before now, becomes, there's a place where there is like a foundation that's set for them. And they can learn, okay, well, if it doesn't line up with this, this, and this, then, I can, just basically reject it, because we don't have to accept everything that comes our way. Like I said, there's so much out there, and you have to be able to sift through what is truth and what is going to work for your body and what actually makes sense. So we help them to kind of see that balance. So, it's so much that we do to kind of get the word out. Yeah.
It sounds like you guys are busy. Just a little bit.
Well, we have
but I was also going to say,
yeah.
Oh, that's good. No, I was also going to say, everybody's different as well. Not everybody needs this exact same thing. And sometimes we are told, like, here's the right way to do it. And it's like, well, everybody has a different body and a different needs and different concerns. And what we need is the education so we can make our own choices that feel right for us and our bodies. But so thinking again about New Breed's products and this idea, you're educating consumers, you're getting out there, you're doing these tastings, you're doing, the programming and things like that. How are you talking to retailers about New Breed, and what has been the response, would you say, from retailers as you've sort of got into more stores? I noticed, you're in a bunch of stores in the regional area that you're in. So I wanted to hear a little bit more about, what are those conversations like with retailers? Yeah,
so that's a whole different discussion on the retail side. We're actually still learning to try to tell that story in an efficient way. I because I don't have that background in CPG, it's harder for me to really kind of tell that story that's super compelling. But I would say that we do. We have the last few years attended trade shows to kind of, like, for example, the last 2 years we were exhibiting at Expo West, which, of course, as we all know, is the holy grail of all CPG natural. And so we really wanted to make sure that we had some kind of a presence there so that we can get in front of retailers to kind of share, of course, our great taste and products, but not only that, but just a story behind what we're doing. Representation at really key trade shows. We also went to the restaurant show last year in Chicago. And, to even on the food service side, we really wanted to have some kind of representation. And then in addition to that, we are still seeking to secure like a broker network and just, salespeople that can really help with getting the message out, especially those that already have the contacts in the industry that we currently don't have. Right now, we have a slim team. It's primarily just me kind of doing everything. So I'm already limited in what I could do, just because of all the other constraints that I have. So quite honestly, we really do need to do a better job with reaching out to retailers. But I think the main thing for us was the representation at the trade shows and just trying to reach out to people, whether it be on LinkedIn or any other outlet, just trying to get in front of the retailer. So Interestingly enough, we were really grateful to have just taken on the Airwan account in Southern California. So it's really super excited about that opportunity to have some kind of representation in Southern California, in addition to the Midwest region where we are in Meyer, the Meyer chain, which is a really strong brand up here. So we're excited about that, but we are looking to expand and have national distribution really all throughout. Of course, in my hometown in the Northeast, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. So, it's a whole different animal up there because it's more filled with independence than anything else. So that's a completely different region altogether, but it's really exciting. I'm looking forward to being able to have some kind of representation there. And of course, in the Southeast as well. So we are looking at a number of different retailers that we know the product could be really well suited for, and that they already have the consumer base that we are targeting. And interestingly enough, another thing that I'll say really quick is we were also part of the Target Accelerator program last year. So that was really nice. Target selects just a handful of brands to go through their accelerator program. So we were one of the brands that were selected, and we went through the whole program. So we went through the whole understanding of mass retail and kind of how that all works. And then it kind of leads into a line review with the buyer and so on. And we are just crossing our fingers and praying that very soon, those doors will open as well for more of a mass retail situation. And then we were part of a television program. This is kind of off the wall type of experience. Target actually sponsored a competition, a television show called Bet on Black. So they brought in 12 entrepreneurs. So it was just a handful of entrepreneurs, and they were pitching their product and everything to the panel of celebrity judges. So we were actually on that show last year too. There was a lot of things that happened, and we actually won the grand prize thing. So it was just totally could not believe. I just had a baby 2 weeks ago. It was just so crazy. But we were able to win because the judges kind of saw our passion, what we were doing, that we were really doing it, not just for ourselves and just pushing, but really for the health and wellness for the world, really. And we're really trying to make a difference. And so it really came across, and they gave us, so we ended up winning $220,000 from that. So Target was super great with that whole situation. And of course, all
that's
the guest,
amazing.
Judges, we had Pinky Cole there, and Master P, and Remy Ma, and all these rap type. Anyway, it was so funny.
That's amazing. I love that. As I keep saying, you're really busy. You're a busy person. Yeah. But do you have, let's put out a call. So you said you're looking for some broker services?
Yes, desperately. So we have these products, and we just need that sales representation. And also to go along with that, marketing as well, to be quite honest. Like I said, I'm pretty much doing most of the things, and I only could do so much. And so really looking for assistance in those two key areas, sales and marketing.
And what regions are you looking for sales help?
Yeah, so I would say currently the strongest regions would be Southern California, and also the Southeast region, which interestingly enough, there's, I look at the population and who is going to be more drawn to the product. Southeast, they're just now kind of developing a stronger plant-based presence. So it'll be really good to have some kind of a key presence in that market. So Atlanta and, Florida, Miami, those areas. And of course, Southern California, they're already way ahead of the game in terms of kind of embracing these types of foods and then we look for places that are more culturally diverse, places that the consumer appreciates more of a global type cuisine. So we find that those regions work really well for us.
We'll be right back. Are you paying a ton in shipping to send out products, samples, and whatever else? The fees really add up, but lucky for you, we now have a partner that gets you access to the discounted shipping rates that are usually only available to those big companies. I worked with them for my last beverage brand, and I can tell you they definitely got us savings. Whether you're sending overnight samples, fulfilling e-commerce orders, or even a 40-foot ocean container, our partner, Enterprise Purchasing Group, or EPG, has got you covered. There are a bunch of free benefits you can get by signing up with them. You can get up to an 86% discount on small parcel shipments from UPS, DHL Express, UPS, and more. You get really competitive LTL and FTL rates through UPS. You get discounted spot and fixed ocean rates through Flexport and Maersk. You get exclusive air freights. And you also get preferential terms with supply chain financing. All you need to do is reach out to Francis Agas. His email is francis, Francis, at enterprisepurchasing.com. Mention the Startup CPG discount and take advantage of those savings. Good luck, everybody, and happy shipping. And now, back to the show.
Absolutely. Well, if anybody's listening who has any connections to a sales or broker services in those regions, reach out to Samantha. She's on Slack and, let's make it happen. I was going to say too, you need to bring your Jamaican Jerk Chicken to Brooklyn.
Exactly. Why? Exactly. Should have been already there.
So many people in Brooklyn who are in need of their Jamaican Jerk Chicken, but plant-based.
That's right.
Exactly. I love it. Oh my God. Well, so exciting on all of these, Target Accelerator, Target Show, Air One. I mean, you're a one-woman show, but you're, like I keep saying, you're doing a lot, and it's really impressive and exciting. But one of the things I wanted to ask as a one-woman show, and I always ask us of all founders, regardless if it's just them or anyone else, but what's been one of the hardest things of running New Breed these past 5 years, and how have you worked to overcome it, or how are you continuing to work to overcome it?
Yeah, no, that question makes a lot of sense. And I think it really all depends on the stage that we're at the time. So, initially when I think back, it was all about product development. It was all about trying to actually develop a product that people wanted to eat, and so that everything was kind of, all energies were kind of bent in that direction. So that was a challenge there. And then from there, you're thinking, okay, how am I going to scale this product? How, logistically, and how do I get suppliers on board, like the raw material suppliers that, we can have some kind of consistency in taste and quality and that type of thing. So just learning how to work with commercial raw material suppliers and finding out who they are and where they are. I mean, it's just a whole world that, you go to the grocery store and you pick up a product, you have no idea what even goes into that. And then you have to think about packaging and, getting an agency on board as far as packaging and branding and design and photography and just really, putting your best foot out there so that you actually don't look like, some mom and pop situation, that it actually looks like something legitimate, So, so there were so many stages to what needed to take place. And, once everything was kind of already developed and, the packaging was done, we brought in an agency and we kind of got all this work done, and we lined up our raw material suppliers and backup suppliers and just making sure that the inventory was there. Well, inventory management is a whole nother situation too. Just logistics. And now it's like, okay, well, how is this thing going to be manufactured? I can't, just be in a commissary kitchen or whatever, just producing a few 100 pounds of product at a time. It needs to be something that, could reach the masses. And because we had our sights set on large scale. And so we wanted to really set that foundation from the beginning. And so we didn't just, run to Costco or something like that to pick up, ingredients and so on. We out the gate was learning about how to get commercial ingredients and working with those type of suppliers. So really creating that supplier network took time and education and everything else. And then finding a manufacturing partner that can actually produce something of quality and something that, was consistent and so on. And so we were really blessed to be able to bring on a really strong manufacturing partner where they can produce at any scale, which is super amazing because, there are so many different, our product is a little bit specialty, but by and large, there are a number of different, manufacturers that you can go to, but we really wanted someone that can scale with us and that, we can start smaller. And then, if needs be, if we get a PO for, 50,000 pounds or something, it wasn't going to be a problem. And so we were able to find a manufacturing partner that is able to really meet any size PO, which again, is super exciting, especially just for.
And how did you find them? I think that's a question I get from a lot of founders. They're like, how do you even know who to work with? How did you find these partners?
It's like this secret network. And truly, the whole thing is just like, and that's why I said the average consumer has no idea. They just go to the grocery store and they're just picking up products. They have no idea what goes into these things. How did we find them? So I think just really having inner workings within the industry and just really having individuals to kind of help guide you along. So, you can just pick up things here and there. So I remember when we were in California talking with another founder who also has a protein company. And, I was sharing with him that, and, he was amazed as to he said, how did you even create this? Are you a food scientist? And I said, well, I'm not a food scientist. So he couldn't even believe that. But anyway, so I was kind of sharing with him about the product and how we were looking into this co-man before, but they kind of flaked out. And so now we're kind of in limbo because we really don't want to self-manufacture because we can only do so much. And anyway, so just kind of going through, the challenges basically of founder life and just getting a product on shelf. And he shared with me a couple of other co-mans that I can look into. And anyway, during the process of time, reached out to them. The timing was great. They were just getting ready to build out their plant-based facility, and everything kind of just worked out. But we had to go and physically visit so many different plants to see, number one, who can actually do this and who's legitimate. There's a lot of sketchiness that goes on, to be honest, and a lot of horror stories. And we were just, wanted to kind of weed through that and really choose one that was right for us and that we felt comfortable with and that can, most importantly, grow with us and that understood this industry. So, our partner, they have the FDA on board, the USDA. So they are like fully up to speed with all of documentation and good manufacturing practices. Like there's so much that goes into just manufacturing. That's a whole beast in and of itself. Anyway, we were able to kind of figure that out. But again, I think having key contacts in the industry is really helpful to kind of help guide along too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's everything you're saying is so important for founders to hear and know, is that do your due diligence, do your research, check it out in person, because I've definitely heard. Yes. But as you said, I've heard horror stories. I've heard the same, it's a common refrain. And so I think it's really great and, to remind people, like, check it out. And also, the more friends you make in the industry, the better. And I think it's easy when you're a founder doing things by yourself to get stuck like in a room, just working all day. And it's, again, like you were saying, having those connections and contacts in the industry can be the difference between finding a great, manufacturer and not. And so getting yourself out there, even when you're like just working by yourself all day, is such an important reminder. Totally. But thinking about other sort of founder advice, I'm curious, and again, this is another question I often ask, but if you were to, start this all over again 5 years ago, or if someone was coming to you and saying, Samantha, I want to start my own CPG company, and they're starting today, what's one piece of advice you've learned over these last 4 years that you wish someone had told you on, day one, day two?
Yeah, no, that I love this question. I really do, because there's actually a question that I get posed quite frequently myself, because people know what I do and so on. So they ask me, oh, well, I have this thing and I want to do this. So I do let them know of the realities of the founder life. I mean, it's not for the faint of heart, to be quite honest. I mean, it's a grind every single day, just motivating yourself to just keep on going. I mean, there's so much involved in this product, and there's so much expenses involved in getting these products on the shelf. I mean, it's astronomical, and I don't think people really realize what it takes to, get something out there. And so I kind of share with them the realities of, just product development, sourcing, logistics, manufacturing, of course, the sales and the marketing, but just the whole thing, like the financial and the accounting, that's a whole nother animal in and of itself woo. So there's so much involved in the whole thing. And it's, you're dealing with a product, that's one thing, but then also it's the whole business side. So it's just like you become this, I don't know. It's like there's so many different things that you have to learn. So I kind of share with them those types of things. But then really, in addition to that, what I wish I would have known from the onset was the extreme expenses that goes into perishable products. Like, it's insane.
Oh, yeah.
So our products are frozen, and that in and of itself, that whole supply chain, frozen, it's doubles the cost for everything that you do, because we do some D2C things as well, as far as selling our products online, but we have to do overnight shipping and all these. So, and it's just, I mean, we lose, quite honestly, because the shipping cost is just astronomical. And so I wish that I would have known in the beginning, if we try to encourage people to, if you can do shelf stable, because your life would be so much easier, even if because you wanted to do an online thing, or if you wanted to do Amazon. I mean, there's so many other avenues that you can actually do, where the expenses aren't so crazy. I mean, like, for example, if I have to send pallets coming from Southern California over to our, facility in Kentucky, I have to send it on a frozen truck. I mean, those prices don't even make sense. And so these are things that I think that the future founders or would-be founders should know. Hey, if you can stay shelf stable, do that. We're actually, thinking about ways which we can be more shelf stable. So we're thinking about how we could kind of reduce our water content and so on, different things like that. And maybe, look into different packaging kinds, just different things to try to see how we could. And then there's other countries that ask us, oh, can this be, here, and you're thinking about, the freight, you're thinking about how is it going to get there, how is it going to go past customs and stay fresh and frozen for, a week. So, there's so many opportunities that could be had if you didn't have those kind of restraints.
We'll be right back. Hola, amigos. About 4 years ago, I got a message from a designer in Colombia who said she'd like to work with Startup CPG to build her reputation in the US. I couldn't believe how affordable her pricing was, and the quality looked top-notch. I started work with them for Startup CPG, and then a bunch of my other CPG projects as well. Fast forward to today, they are the most beloved agency in our Startup CPG community. They've got dozens of happy customers like Prickly and so many more. I recommend them to absolutely anybody who will listen because the combo of top-notch quality and very reasonable pricing is exactly what you want as a startup brand. You can hire them for branding, packaging, your website, or they actually have an awesome startup package that will do all three. If you want to learn more, email them at startupcpg@wagondesignstudio.com or check the show notes. You could also post on our Slack for feedback and just be overwhelmed by how many people want to sing their praises. Gracias, Wagon! And now, back to the show.
Totally. No, I think that's so good for people to hear. And literally every founder I talk to who's in Frozen is like, says the same thing.
Yeah.
They're like, Frozen is 25 times harder than shelf stable. And, you know, it's, not for the faint of heart, as you said, to enter into that space. Even though, you know, as customers, I love frozen things. So I'm like, great, put it in my freezer. But for the founder, it's a million times harder. But my final question is, well, I have two final questions, but one is just what's been the flip side of the challenges? What's been your proudest moment so far? And then B is, you know, what's to come for New Breed throughout the rest of this year?
Yeah. So, wow, that's a really thought-provoking as far as what's been our thing that we're most proud of. I you know, honestly, just going back to that whole show and the winnings, I think that was just such a surreal moment. You know, to having been recognized to, you know, as far as what we're doing and how, you know, the global impact that it can have. So that was really something to be said for us. And it was just so much going on around that time. Like I said, I just literally had a baby like a few weeks before. Like, I think it wasn't even 2 weeks before. So it was so crazy. So I'm like on the set for a week. Because you never knew when you were going to be called. And it was like this whole secrecy type thing. You didn't know who the judges were until you got up there. And it's just like, you know, this whole moment. And, you know, I was, anyway, it was so having gone through all of that, and being able to kind of deliver, you know, this pitch under so much pressure and cameras and light. I mean, it was just the whole production. I think that was really, really, really special. And so I would say that. And then in terms of the second part of your question that just left me right now, what was it?
All good. What's to come? What's coming up next for New Breed?
What is coming up next? So we're super excited about our fall launch in Erewhon. I mean, we are kind of gearing up for that. Interestingly enough, I actually have a call and later on today with the distributor to kind of get things lined up and get in the system and so on. So we're really excited about that and really pushing forth energies kind of in that direction for the SoCal region. So we're looking forward to that and also bringing on some other key retailers. I think the main thing for us now is really gathering really strong data points that we can tell a really great story to other retailers as well. So we're really hoping that this launch and really coming up a really strong promotional strategy and so on could really push the products in such a way that, you know, we have really great velocities and so on. And that's something that could be shared across the board to other retailers because we are eyeing Whole Foods and Sprouts and all the rest. So they're also definitely on our radar, but so we want to be able to have that data to kind of back up. Hey, we need a space on the shelf. We're bringing something different. We're bringing something unique. Your customers want it, and we could deliver. I mean, we have all of the ducks in order. All of our, you know, everything in all the foundations already set up. We're already ready to go. So we just need you to take us on.
Put you in. Absolutely. And if anybody, we'll put another call out there. If anybody's got a connection at Sprouts or Whole Foods, again, hit up Samantha on Slack. Let's get New Breed into even more retailers. I'm personally excited. I hope you get into a Sprouts or Whole Foods near me in Philadelphia at some point. But where can people learn more about New Breed if they want to follow along on your journey?
So you can visit our website at eatnewbreed.com. And of course, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Eat New Breed. So we are there and trying to get our story out. So look for us there, like us, follow us. We are looking to kind of get more exposure and presence in those areas as well. Also, if there's a social media person that, listen, I can only do so much. If there's a social media person that can help us out too, in terms of, our social channels, that is also a direction of help that that we're looking for.
Yes.
I love the Startup CPG community. There's someone for everyone. There's so much out there, and it's really a resource. It is just so amazing. I was there from the beginning stages. And I've just seen how much it has grown. I'm just super excited to just be a part of this whole community. But yeah, so that's how people can find out about us at Eat New Breed.
Awesome. I love it. Well, yeah, everybody who can help Samantha reach out, or if you just want to ask Samantha questions about New Breed, reach out and follow along and follow their journey. But it was so much fun to chat with you, Samantha, and good luck with everything. Good luck with the rest of your pregnancy and all the above.
All right.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, it would help us out so much if you left a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I am Grace Kennedy, the editor for Startup CPG, so feel free to add me on LinkedIn or reach out to me on Slack. I'm always on the hunt for new and exciting brands to feature. And if you're a potential sponsor that would like to appear on the podcast, please email partnerships@startupcpg.com. And finally, as a reminder for anyone listening, if you haven't already, we would love for you to join our community on Slack, and you can sign up via our website, startupcpg.com.